So I'll be going over ways to secure our wireless networks, protect ourselves when we are using free public Wi-Fi, and some tips on creating safe and secure passwords. So a wireless network is connecting an internet access point, like a cable from an internet service provider to a router, so many devices could be wirelessly connected to the network. Having a wireless network at home is so convenient, and we are able to use any of our devices anywhere in the house and directly outside of our house as well. So now we can't even imagine how troubling it may be uh, to have to have a wired cable, um, and having to just deal with all the clutter of cables. But oftentimes, what we do is we just find a spot to put our router. We connect all of our devices and we just forget about it without doing anything else. However, leaving our wireless network as it is and not doing anything to protect it could be potentially harmful and dangerous. So by taking proactive steps to secure and protect the network, could be keeping data breaches, ransomware attacks, cybercriminal attacks, and any other dangerous online threats from happening. So there's several steps that we can take in order to prevent any of that from happening and keeping us, our devices, and our information safe. One step that we can take is to change the name of the network and the password to something else other than what the internet service provider provided us with. Although it's a very simple and easy step, it's also a very, very important one. Changing the name of the network would make it harder for a cyber criminal to know what kind of router we have, which lessens the chance of them knowing the vulnerabilities of the particular router and trying to hack into it. Um, it's wise not to include our personal name in the network name or naming it anything provocative for potential hackers to get into. And again, it's also a wise choice to change the password to the home wireless network and making it lengthy with a mixture of letters, numbers, and symbols. Another step that we can take is to keep our wireless network safe and secure is to turn on the Wi-Fi Protected Access 2 or WPA2 encryption on the wireless router. Doing so makes it so much harder for a cyber criminal to hack into our wireless networks. Making sure to protect any and all devices in our home is another crucial step. By keeping up with the latest software and making sure they have an antivirus or anti-malware installed, we are decreasing the chances for cyber criminals to hack into our devices or into our networks. And finally, one last and very, very easy step to do is to just turn off the wireless home network when it's not being used for a long period of time, or when we are not at home for a long period of time. This will give hackers just a less of an opportunity to get into our devices and networks. So continuing on with wireless networks, I'm going to be going over free public Wi-Fi and the do's and don'ts of it. Free public Wi-Fi is available pretty much anywhere we go. Or anywhere we are. So it could be such as Starbucks, other cafes, restaurants, department stores, airports, hotels, and even theme parks. But just because it's free and it's very, very, very tempting to use all the time, rather than using our personal cell phone data, it doesn't mean that it's all completely safe to use and could potentially impose a risk to our personal information. So some important do's when we do decide to use a free public Wi-Fi is to connect to a secure network. So these are the networks that require for us to log in and agree to a user agreement before we start using it. And it's also wise to turn off automatic connectivity, although that may be very convenient to do, to have the automatic connection to the networks that we use. And then one last thing that we also want to do is using a virtual private network or VPN to ensure that our privacy and anonymity are secure. Now, some don'ts while using free public Wi-Fi include not accessing bank accounts or anything where we have to enter any personal information, especially while using unsecured public networks. Another thing that we don't want to do is we don't want to leave laptops or any of our devices unattended anywhere in public. This one is pretty self-explanatory, but it's also something just to keep in mind. Lastly, we don't want to be shopping online while using free public Wi-Fi, especially if it's on a unsecured network. And this one kind of piggybacks on the first don't that I went over, where it says not to use, not to enter any personal information that the hacker could easily access. Now I'm going to continue on keeping our passwords safe and secure. Creating passwords for each and every account that we create online is not an easy thing to do, and it's so much easier just to use the same one password for all of our online accounts, but that's not the best thing that we should be doing. The best thing that we can do is to in order to make sure that we have a safe and secure password is to use an application-based technique. So this means that we can choose an application service designed to generate, store, and retrieve our passwords. With this, we don't have to think of all these different passwords and trying to remember them all, and the application can just do it for us. So a few examples of these applications are 1Password, Dashlane, LastPass, and RoboForm. And some other best practices we can do when creating passwords are not using the same password across different websites. So we want to make sure that we are using a different password for each of the websites that we have online accounts for. We don't want to use random words from the dictionary. We don't want to use any of our personal information when creating our password, so no information such as names, kids' names, pets' names, phone numbers, birthdays, addresses, and things like that. What we do want to do is we want to create lengthy passwords with at least 10 characters, again with a mixture of letters, both uppercase and lowercase, numbers and symbols. And lastly, one really important thing that we do want to do is change our passwords every so often, just to keep them fresh and new and make it harder for cyber criminals to get our information.